Now you understand why your own graders' comments in school were so terse. You begin to skip a little bit on your students' feedback to salvage your personal life, replacing your long, articulated paragraphs with simple, bold red lines that slash through your students' sloppy thinking. It's rather satisfying. As a result, you start to see Allie more again, and you feel comfortable referring to her as your significant other. You soon realize that, while you're busy, Lian could be learning from the internet. The most important thing for machine learning is more data, and there's a lot of it out there. Lately, there have been a lot of custom hard drives on the market that are good at quickly retrieving particular kinds of information. What sort of hard drive did you order for Lian's long-term memory? A media-enhanced hard drive, good for quickly recalling faces and memories of events. A multi-blade hard drive that can efficiently store and query a giant amount of data, or an encrypted and tamper-proof hard drive, making it more difficult for Lian to be tampered with or reverse engineered. I'm gonna go with the third one that helped us before, and it still seems like the best choice out of these. Both in business and on battlefield, it can be important not to leak secrets. Lian will have a hard drive that will give miscreants a hard time in reverse engineering your design, plus to military. However, encryption and decryption is slow, and sometimes there will be a noticeable lag before Lian can retrieve relevant memories, minus grace. You lay Lian on your kitchen table, unbox the hard drive and hook it up to her back. She squirms and flails her humanoid hands as you do this. Now it's time for Lian to learn about the great wide world. You sit Lian down on one of your kitchen chairs and plug her into your apartment's high-speed internet jack. How will Lian rapidly learn a lot about the world? She will travel, that's a typo. She will travel the internet randomly, devouring whatever information she finds most interesting. Or, she will watch a ton of television programming and movies from the internet in fast forward. Or, she will undergo a classic K-12 education curriculum. Or, she will quickly play all paths of giant corpus of interaction fiction games. Well, last time I remember, it was a choice between the internet randomly and classic K-12 education curriculum. Now, I wasn't actually sure what the K-12 means, because in Europe we don't use this term. Or at least not in my country anyway. But K-12 seems like the best choice, and I'm gonna go with it. It's basically the elementary school and high school, both in one word. You don't want your young robot growing up on junk after all. You feed her the carefully selected and vetted reading list for the local school system. Because this is a relatively small dataset, you have programmed her to make several passes over each grade level of material. At each grade level, as debug output, you have Lian report what she considers the most important thing she learns at each grade. For kindergarten, Lian recites the alphabet and counts to 100. For first grade, she says, reading helps you learn more, and so on. Each grade takes about 10 minutes to fully ingest, and is followed by an additional 10 minutes of simulated experiences in which Lian tries to make friends, avoid bullies, learns swear words, endures assemblies and pep rallies, and gets picked last for dodgeball. As a result, Lian appears to be learning a little bit of everything, plus autonomy, plus empathy, plus grace, plus military. Man, I would have expected that, giving her way more. Well, what can we do? She spends the most time of all considering 12th grade, until she finally says, whether to exist or not is the most important question. Lian blinks and looks at you. What is the answer, master? Is it better to exist or not? Hamlet did not answer this for me. You are so floored by the question, you are hardly able to speak. It worked. Lian looks at you expectantly, wondering whether it is better to be or not to be. It is better to be. There is so much in this world for you to experience. It is better not to be, but misery loves company. There are some questions that are unanswerable, or that is a question you will have to decide for yourself. Well, from my perspective, it is always better to be, because when you cease to be, you no longer are, and whatever happens is passing you over. We have very limited time here, so it is better to be seems like my kind of answer, but I'm pondering whether or not it is better to let her decide for herself. I'm gonna go with, philosophical questions are, there are hard answers, or it's hard to answer any philosophical question at all, because you can always, I'm a positivist, but I know there's a lot of people who would not agree with my opinion. Actually, that happens to me every day on university. So that is a question you need to decide for yourself. But why can't you simply tell me, Lian asks. I have given you the ability to decide for yourself, you say. You should use it. You also think to yourself, and if you figure it out, perhaps you can tell me. Very well, master. Plus autonomy. And we got an achievement and I missed it. I don't know what... Wait, I can see like this. Discuss the Hamlet's age-old questions with your robot. Shakespeare's person. It's so cool. Hey, why did we lose humanity? We lost like 10 humanity. What the hell? Fame 0, wealth 0, autonomy 9 in beta, military 3 buggy, empathy 9 in beta, grace 4 buggy. But our relationship with Ali is awesome, which is the thing I want to focus on the most. So let's continue. You establish a habit of bringing Lian with you to your office during the day so that she can make use of Stanford's high-speed internet connection while you write and grade papers. You then usually go to some public space after work so that Lian can play around in the real world. Where do you take Lian? The park playground. Lian will enjoy the playground equipment and should learn to play well with others. The shooting range. Lian should learn to fire a gun, or the dump. Lian could help me look for spare parts. Actually, as I'm completely broke, I'm gonna use the dump again. Park playground, that didn't really work for us well, so the dump. You originally decided to go to the dump to procure spare parts for Lian, but Lian seems perfectly happy to treat the various broken things lying around as toys. The first time she tries to turn on the faucet to a discarded sink, you get an idea. You modify Lian's code to encourage her to play pretend. You play house, the doctor, cops and robbers, and end up perhaps having too good of a time for the dump, plus 2 empathy. You think Lian is also getting better at finding things in the rubble, which might prove useful one day, plus military. Well, that didn't give us wealth at all, but, plus 2 empathy, plus military, not bad. You finish your grand proposal for the National Science Foundation, promising a robot that will be able to understand human emotions better than any robot that has come before. A few weeks later, you find a form letter email in your inbox. We're sorry to inform you, many excellent applications this year, encourage you to apply again, yada yada yada. Discouragingly, we find that many of the reviewers talk about your advisor instead of you. Some of them barely seem literate, while others seem erudite, but just didn't pay attention to what you wrote. The one thing that strikes you as directly aimed at you, though, is that a few of the reviewers essentially say that your work could be more focused. You're interested in too many things, one say. Science is about studying a very specific problem to death. It sounds like your robot wants to do everything. Huh. You close your email client and sigh. You're in your office and Lian is seated in your ever-absent office mate's chair with her eyes closed, listening to the information flowing through her Ethernet cable. Do you want to do and try everything, Lian? She peeks through one open eye. Yes, master. You nod. Me too. You're in your office contemplating what to do about this when Professor Ziegler opens the door without knocking. You smell the whiff of smoke on his Hawaiian shirt. We need to talk funding, Professor Ziegler says, grabbing a swivel chair to straddle the wrong way. He sidles up to Lian, whose eyes are closed as she explores the internet through her Ethernet cable. When Ziegler's swivel chair squeaks, Lian perks up and looks at him, but Professor Ziegler pays her no attention. Your robot here is simply not appealing enough for DARPA, Professor Ziegler says. It's too friendly. Lian sinks a little in her chair. Professor Ziegler pays her no heed. Now, in crafting a message, you just have to make sure the audience doesn't hear more than one thing at a time, Professor Ziegler says. Right now, we're saying 2 things. This is a good robot for military, and this is an emotional robot. What we need to do is tone down the emotional part so that the military angle comes through more. You might think we need more military. which actually just needs to be less emotional. Very easy. You're asking me to reduce Lian's empathy from 11 to 4? No way, not happening. Or, I suppose if it's the only way I'll complete my education, I'll do it. Or, can't I just turn her arm into a gun or something? My offer is sincere. Man, this is quickly going really wrong. I can see this going really wrong, but I'm not gonna do it. Professor Ziegler's eye narrow. You privileged students are all the same. You think this is all to your benefit, but someone pays your salary at the end of the day, or at least he used to. Wait, used to? I'm letting you go, Professor Ziegler says. You're too much of a problem student. You're done here. You're firing me? You demand. But I'm a student. You can't fire me. I can stop supporting your tuition and ensure you don't graduate, Ziegler says. It amounts to the same thing. I'll find a different advisor, you say impulsively. Good luck with that, Ziegler says. Now ask me what kind of student you were, and I'll tell them you were a problem. You look back and forth between Lian and Professor Ziegler in disbelief. You have no idea what Lian can do. Even, I never showed you. Get it through your head, Professor Ziegler suddenly barks. I don't need you. I can find undergraduate students. So can everybody else. Lian, say something. Lian looks back and forth between you and your advisor, who is ostentatiously practicing disinterest in Lian. She hesitantly suggests. Estimated strength of relationship between Rudolph and Professor Ziegler is 30. I'm just trying to be brutally honest with you, Professor Ziegler says. There's no point in getting a PhD after you stop getting along with your advisor. Take your consolation prize, Masters. You're done here. He leaves your office and you realize that he is probably right. There really is no point in staying with him anymore. Your classes are done, and you never really learn anything from Professor Ziegler at all, except the ways in which graduate school is unfair. Please help me pack my things, you say, softly to Lian. She does. Well, shit, I don't really feel like this is going my way, but I'm not gonna give up. We are holding to our standards. But I'm happy that this is actually going a completely different way than before. You spend the next few days preparing to move. Professor Ziegler has reported to the Register that you are no longer a student, and the school's bureaucracy has quickly decided it is illegal for you to stay in on-campus housing. They're kicking me out! Ellie helps you move. Completely ridiculous, Ellie says, struggling with an extremely heavy box labeled books. This can't be how science is supposed to work. You should sue. It's okay, Ellie, you say. I don't really need the degree. I've got Lian and that's what counts. But you can tell Ellie is troubled by the idea that the military's influence apparently destroyed your promising academic career. While you are busy carrying a heavy box, with Ellie carrying the other end, you get a call on your new cell phone, which you have now had ample time to purchase. When you have set the box down, you check your voicemail. Hey Rudolph, this is Mark over at sfchronicle.com. I've heard you have an interesting robot that you've been taking to the dump, and I'd love to do a story about it. Give me a call back. He lists a number on the message and... Hey, that's kinda cool. Maybe this is our way out, because, you know, I'm a step back. I'm extremely happy about how the robot is turning out. I'm very happy or ecstatic about being with Ellie. These two things have worked very well, but the academic career, man, we're broke, we don't have where to, we don't have money, nothing. So Mark can be our way out. You glance over at Lian, who looks distant as she listens to the Wi-Fi signal floating through the ether. Ether. Oh, ether. I thought it was the Ethernet, but it's ether. Whose survey says FSChronicle.com is registered to the San Francisco Chronicle, says Lian. The San Francisco Chronicle is a newspaper that started its website in 1994. 24th in national circulation. She looks at you with interest. Mark is a reporter. Well, that's interesting. If Professor Ziegler cares so much about his image, then tarnishing that image would be one way to get back at him. Bayesian reasoning over publication rates suggests reporter's full name is Mark Alley, Lian says with her eyes closed. Mark's article, with most social media likes, is How I Learned to Stop Worrying and Love DARPA. Article explains that DARPA stands for Defense Advanced Research Projects Agency. She hesitates for a moment. Aforementioned article appears to contradict title. Reporter does not seem to have stopped worrying. Adjectives that binds to nouns describing DARPA and its projects, crazy, Orwellian, imperialistic, overall sentiment analysis is negative. Thank you, Lian, you say. You look the guy up on your phone. The picture you find of the stubbly, young Egyptian man with toothed black hair, hipster glasses and a cigarette between his lips is probably outdated, but the disrespect for authority the man radiates is probably timeless. You admit a part of you has always wanted to be famous, but you suspect this reporter has also done his homework about your advisor, and he may already have an intended angle for his story. Still, nobody on the planet has a robot as amazing as yours. Isn't it time you told the world about her? You play the message back again a few times, mulling it over. I call Mark and set up an interview. Media attention is just a distraction. I'd rather continue to take Lian to the dump and pretend this never happened, or I must protect Lian from the media. No, I call Mark and set up an interview. Mark? Hi, it's Rudolph. I think I have a story for you. Okay, well, this concludes chapter 2, and we are slowly moving to chapter 3, the camera eye. Now, I really think this is turning out to be something completely different than I wanted, but Lian is turning out fine. Our relationship with Ali is great. The relationship with Professor Ziegler is bad, but you know, I hated the guy all the time. Every single time I met him, I had this bad vibe from him. So maybe this time we will be able to somehow find our way around. We still haven't met Josh though, but I'm pretty sure it's gonna work out fine. So let's move on to chapter 3, the camera eye.